Now that's a rule I can live by.
Knowledge is power, and no one drops knowledge better than the voice of Ataxia, your #1 source for resistant cell updates from around the world. Live from the hidden bunker far below a patch of unremarkable desert. He may look AI, but he's your host, Max Musterman.
Greetings, Philistines. You are being lied to. Now, I don't know about you, but anytime I complain about the way things are in this country and how things need to change, a lot of so-called patriots will say things like, hey, it's not great, but it's better than any other country, or if you don't like it, leave. Well, let me tell you something. True patriots don't blindly follow their government and all the bullshit they do. They hold their government accountable. True patriots want their lives, the lives of their countrymen, to improve. If you call yourself a patriot, and you find yourself reveling in the despair and misfortune of those who you deem political rivals, let me tell you something. You're not a patriot. You're just a piece of trash. With that said, let's move on to our next segment.
What time is it?
It's time for
News from the Underground.
For our first story, we have an act of petroleum piracy. Sources tell me some good old boys from down south got sick of paying so much to gas up their big-ass trucks, so they went full octane outlaw and hijacked a tanker truck full of good old Texas tea. These fuel freebooters reportedly tricked out their trucks with Mad Max-style mods designed specifically for boarding other vehicles while in motion. The gassed-up gangsters are out there playing Fury Road, and who among us hasn't considered grabbing a can of chrome spray paint to do the same in the face of these wild gas prices? Word is, the Black Gold Bandits even got their hands on a Ma Deuce and bolted the damned thing to one of their trucks. I'd hate to be the law enforcement trying to stop them with heavy firepower like that. Word is, the government is doing their best to keep news of these crude oil corsairs under wraps for fear of inspiring copycats, but you can't stop the signal, especially with a big mouth of mine shouting it from the hilltops. While I salute these diesel desperados and wish them the best of luck in their campaign against big oil, I feel compelled to offer the following suggestion. Instead of hijacking fuel trucks, you might consider ditching the big-ass truck you use to compensate for your insecurity and switch to a more economical electric car. I promise it won't make you any less of a man. Unless, of course, you prefer to keep shelling out north of $100 each time to fill up your gas-guzzling penis metaphor. In other news, a man in Ontario, California is suspected of burning down an entire warehouse, doing $500 million in damage to the building and the goods contained inside. Reports indicate he was motivated by what he perceived to be unfair wages compared to the profits made by the company. For decades, corporate asshats have been screwing over the people at the bottom to pad their pockets and please the shareholders. It comes as no surprise that someone decided to take matters into his own hands to make a statement. The suspect allegedly compared himself to Luigi Mangione, who was charged with the murder of a health insurance company's CEO after taking issue with the insurance companies routinely denying their clients medical treatment in order to keep profits up. In unrelated arson news, a man was detained after allegedly throwing a Molotov cocktail at the front gate of OpenAI CEO Sam Altman's house. He was taken into custody outside a nearby OpenAI office, where witnesses say he threatened to burn down the building with the people inside. It's likely we'll continue to see desperate Americans taking desperate actions in order to encourage a change in the American drive to enrich oneself, no matter how it hurts others. Focusing on profits over people leads to one thing and only one thing: the world burning down around us. So if you feel compelled to stockpile stacks and stacks of money, remember, paper is highly flammable. Some more positive news has reached me from the Brotherhood of Neo-Emancipationist Revolutionaries who, after their wildly successful bake sale, have decided to extend their fundraising efforts by expanding into additional locations around the country. With the additional locations, they're also adding some new recipes to their offerings, so be sure to check them out if you see them in your area slinging baked goods. Several of their cells are also organizing Glock walks in their communities in what I believe is the first time anyone has ever conceived of a Glock walk. For those not familiar, a Glock walk is the Brotherhood's innovative new spin on the traditional cakewalk fundraisers often held at community carnivals run by churches and schools. Think musical chairs, but you have to buy tickets to enter, and the winners go home with Glocks. I wouldn't be surprised if Glock walks become the hot new thing in the United States if these events are successful. You know how much those damned Americans love their guns after all.
And now our mandatory uninterrupted block of patriotic, government-approved music.
Закончен тяжелый рабочий день. Ты спешишь на свой последний маршрут. Ждет тебя дома твоя постель. Но, увы, нигде больше тебя не ждут. По ящику сказали, что жизнь дерьмо. По радио играет какая-то дрянь. Уже давно не звонит телефон. Соседка слышна, соседская брань. Ты выбрал сам себе такую жизнь. Тебе жить, ты этот выбор сделал сам. Работа тонко так, и ты уже не банк. что было потом. Жил всего в мир, не верю только мечтам. Вместо кофе пиво пил по утрам. Ты променял солнечно детский плач. А что потом? Уж машина ты начал пить. И понял, за что выбор сделал ты не тот. Ах, если можно было все вернуть назад. Ах, если можно было все вернуть назад.
We'll nip it in the bud, put you organisms out to stun. Advancing on to government positions, executing executive decisions. Hardwired with a merciless mission, carbon life forms are inefficient. It's a thankless job as a civil servant type, pushing pencils for robot reform. Diodes blazing and gears are turning, a mechanized world is what I'm yearning. Maybe you thought we will make things better. Maybe you thought we will make you less broke. Didn't realize that we'd have the last laugh as the monthly laws of the funniest joke. It's a thankless job as a civil servant type, pushing pencils for robot reform. Diodes blazing and gears are turning, a mechanized world is what I'm yearning. It's a thankless job as a civil servant type, pushing pencils for robot reform. Diodes blazing and gears are turning, a mechanized world is what I'm yearning.
Danke. Danke is German for thank you. You learned something.
We got a shit ton.
We're going to play like 23 songs tonight. That's the biggest Crypt set we've ever done. Ever. That's a lot of songs for us. That's at least 3 songs. More than 20.
Some would argue.
20 plus what you said. What's the next song?
540 Derby.
When the sun is going down, then you got no time to
Dear Voice of Ataxia, I never thought something like this would happen to me.
That's hot.
You know me. It's my duty to please that booty.
Around the office, the ladies always say there's nothing hotter than a man engaged in civil disobedience. And so, we ask our viewers to share with us stories of outrageous sexual encounters instigated by civil disobedience. Dear Voice of Ataxia, things like this never happened to me, but a few weeks back, an opportunity to tag a cop car turned into the wildest night of my life. I'd come across this unattended police cruiser in the early evening, parked on a street surrounded by condemned buildings that gave urban blight a bad name. With no 5-0 in sight, and knowing I'd never have another chance like this, I made the fateful decision to add a bright, colorful, pink frosted donut with sprinkles to the hood of the car. I locked in, and in no time I found myself putting the final details on my glorious rendering when a woman dressed head to toe in black slunk around the corner of the building. Caught in the act, I froze, dropping the can of spray paint from my hand to clatter on the pavement before it rolled under the car. The woman laughed as she approached me. With an elegant flourish, she opened a butterfly knife and pointed the tip at my face. "You are an idiot," she said, before she slashed the front passenger side tire with a deft and unsettlingly familiar stroke of the knife. "Run, Picasso. The pigs aren't far behind me." By the time I stammered out a confused, "What?" she'd bolted past me away from the scene of our crimes. It took me longer than I cared to admit to reconcile the reality of our situation before I beat feet after her. Without a thought, I followed her. I didn't know her. I had no rational reason to follow. Something inside me, however, assumed she had a better escape plan than I did in that panicked moment. Behind me, I heard someone scream expletives strung together in the most unusual and creative ways. They formed a sort of beautiful, if vulgar, poetry. Gunshots punctuated each stanza of invective rhythm, and I prayed to any god who'd listen to protect me and guide me to safety. We ran toward the setting sun until sirens drowned out all other sounds of the city. The woman ducked into a nearby building to get off the streets, and, still driven by lizard brain instinct, I followed. To my surprise, I found myself in a local coffee house, packed to the gills for a slam poetry open mic night. The women thread a winding path through the press of poets toward the back of the building, and, with the intention of thanking her for the save, I headed the same direction. In the back of the building, I found an empty hallway terminating in 3 doors, one marked employees only, an exit to the alley behind the building, and a bathroom with no distinct gender designation. Confused and unsure what to do, I stood there looking from door to door for some clue where she went. Just when I'd given up and turned to leave, somebody grabbed my shirt collar and dragged me into the bathroom. The woman closed the door behind us, locked it, and pushed me against the wall. "You stalking me, Picasso?" she asked with a growl. I shook my head and stammered something unintelligible like an idiot. "What are you after?" A flash of her butterfly knife in my face earlier in the evening came to mind. I wanted to thank you for saving me from the city's finest giving me an ass beating." Her facial expressions shifted from suspicion to something best described as hunger. Not a hunger for food, but the hunger of a wolf on the hunt. The things she did to me in that bathroom bent the laws of physics and changed my religion. By the time the sun rose the next morning, we'd gone through an entire box of condoms. Every muscle in my body railed against me with every movement, and I desperately needed to hydrate. Hours of endless passion without ever knowing her name. When I woke up, she was gone, and she'd taken my wallet and TV with her. Well, my friend, I hope that the loss of your TV and wallet is worth a night of passion. If you've got a story you'd like to share with us about your dirty, hot interludes, you can send them to max@voiceofataxia.com. We eagerly await your dirty, dirty deeds. We now pause for a moment to remember those we've lost.
We go into battle to reclaim our lives. This we do gladly. As of this moment, we are dead.
In death, a member of Project Mayhem has a name.
For real though, this right here goes out to all our fallen homies. For our homies.
Remember, victory is life. Victory is life.
This is some pretty surreal shit.
Never forget these great patriots.
But what is best in life?
To cock your enemies, to see them emasculated before you, and give satisfaction to their women.
Here around the offices of the Department of Implicit Chaos, we like to play a game where every week we choose our personal fascist cuck of the week and assemble clues so we can play a guessing game of who picked who. This episode's fascist cuck is notoriously considered a raging alcoholic. He proudly served his country in various capacities since 2003, but the previously mentioned alcohol seems to have obliterated any and all memory of anything he learned during that service. Prior to his current position in the administration, he served as a lesser-known news commentator. Finally, he's such a little bitch, he felt the need to change the name of his department to something more aggressive and manly. If you have a guess who this episode's fascist cuck is, leave a comment below and let us know what you think of this week's selection. That's all for this episode of Voice of Ataxia. Remember kids, there are 4 lights. To all our sleeper agents out there, today is the day that some of you don't know you've been waiting for. Alpha Bellicose Vacuum Ampersand. And, as always, remember, Big Brother is watching, so let's give him one hell of a show. We now pause for a moment to remember those we've lost. We will never remember good. Yeah, real good.